Hey everyone, this is Fabian. Welcome back. Happy New Year, of course. Hope you had a great Christmas break, a fantastic New Year's beginning of the new year. We're in 2018, and let's hope it's going to be great. But before I already lost track of what the hell I'm going to say, I'm back, of course. Went back to Italy, back home for Christmas, a brief vacation to Israel for New Year's Eve, and now I'm back to London, returned yesterday night. House is a mess, of course, but I need to make this video, since I already saw some popping up from my YouTube friends and videos and channels I usually follow. And of course, I'm talking about the games of the year, games of 2017 list. For my standards, I believe I played quite a few games. Not too many, of course, because I don't have that much time to spend playing games. Mainly play at evenings and stuff like that. I play one game at a time for the most part, so of course I don't have a ginormous list. But considering all my circumstances, I was able to play, and for the most part, that I already going to say, I haven't beat all these games, but played 16 games. So this is going to be a sort of top, not really top 16 for two reasons, which you're going to find out soon. So since this is going to be probably a pretty long video, let's just start it. So mine list of favorite games of 2017. I want to, of course, stress and underline the word favorites, because of course, due to other circumstances, most of my games are a mix of pretty recent. There's a couple, I think, of 2017 game maybe, and of course some older games, because I play a bit of everything. So don't expect too many recent games. Don't expect the biggest games of the year. So I haven't played Persona 5. For you, Leo, I still need to play Persona 4. I hope it's going to happen. That's my New Year's resolution. I don't have a Switch, even though I really hope to get one this year. So no Xenoblade 2, no Zelda, nothing like that. A bit of like a couple of words. And of course, as always, as Leo stressed out, I keep mentioning him. Of course, I'm talking about the Funny Nerd, the good friend of mine on YouTube. It's important to stress the word favorites instead of the best, because of course I'm not a professional reviewer. My opinion and this list and what I'm going to say about this game is entirely based on my experience and about what I liked and disliked, and various other facts based entirely off my playthrough these games. So let's start, and we're going to start with an honorable mention, because I don't think this game should be on the list, even though I played for a while. It's fun, but I couldn't, even though I enjoyed it. I still play here and there, but it's something that I consider it more of a time waster, but it kept me company throughout, mainly during the summer while I was working on an archaeological dig in Italy, and that it's a game for my phone. Actually, we're starting with a weird one, even though it's a pretty good game, and that it's Fire Emblem Heroes, developed by Nintendo and Intelligent System. It's a free app, considered it's a free game. I spent quite some time on it. It's a decent Fire Emblem game. It's pure fan service for fans of the series, meaning that you can unlock, summon different heroes from all the Fire Emblem games, and it's, as I said, it's very fun. It can be frustrating at times. I don't want to say it's not really a real Fire Emblem game. I don't think so. Even though I had a lot of fun playing it. Occasionally was the only game I had for it. As I said, while I was in central Italy, I played a lot of Fire Emblem Heroes, and it was a lot of fun. So, but it's not. To me, it's not enough for entering the proper list. It's going to start now with number 14. Don't worry, I can do the math. There's a reason why it's not a top 15. You're going to discover it later. So, on number 14, we have. I don't think this was a disappointment, but it's one of the 3 games out of 15 that I decided not to beat this. This is the only one actually that I didn't want to finish it for some reason. I got tired of it. It kind of burned me out. The other 2 is simply for different reasons. I haven't finished it. I finished them yet. But number 14, we got Hyrule Warriors Legends on the 3DS. Even though it's at the bottom of my list, this was fun. I really enjoyed my time with it. I played, I think, for 25 hours. I knew exactly what I was getting into. Of course, it has Warriors on the title, so it's going to be a Dynasty Warriors kind of game, or Muso, how they're called now. And I was really curious about this. I heard about it, but I don't own a Wii U, so I think maybe that's the better version, but it looks nice on the 3DS. It's not about graphics and everything. But I have experience with Dynasty Warriors games, played some of them on the original Xbox, and they're fun. I don't mind them, but I think they're mainly, I don't want to say time wasters again, or maybe they're good palate cleanser to play occasionally. I think playing it as a regular game, so focusing all my attention on it, kind of burned me out after a while. I mean, there was this whole section saying this is the final battle, the mother of all battles, and once you finish it in the story, all of a sudden you start playing as Ganondorf, and at that point I didn't really care about him, and I really wanted to move on to a different game. So yeah, that's why I didn't finish it. But it's fun, although it also reminded me of some things that I don't like about the Dynasty Warriors games, and the fact that other than yourself, all the other players are useless. So I hope other Warriors games are not like this, but for example, the AI felt really dumb at times, like all these thousands of soldiers just looking at you while you're just killing them in one sweep, or something like that. And the other characters are just useless. It's all up to you. You have to move all around the map, saving your allies from difficult situation, then go to the other side of the map to do something else. I mean, I didn't really enjoy that. Maybe it's just this. I didn't remember this from other games. But I hope other games I want to play, like for example Dragon Quest Heroes, or I'm quite curious about Fire Emblem Warriors. But if I'm going to play that, I think I want to on the Switch, not really on the 3DS. We'll see. But even though it's at the bottom of my list, as I said, it is still a fun game. I enjoy the time I spent on it, even though I think I don't want to say I played in the wrong way, but I should have played this differently maybe. But at number 14, Hyrule Warriors Legends. At number 13, we got another game that I didn't finish, but for a different reason. And it really pisses me off that I haven't finished this game, because I was really enjoying my time, but I know that I cannot finish it, or at least if I'm going to, it's going to be ridiculously difficult. And the game is Growlancer Wafer of Time. Again, I hope the lighting is not too bad, but I'm just filming on my camera in my room. Growlancer Wafer of Time on the PSP, of course. I was quite curious about this for a long time before buying it. Once I was able to, I started playing it. I really enjoyed it. This is a strategy RPG. It's really old school, especially like in the graphic department. It looks like a PS1 game, so that's already a plus for me, because I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. The graphics is very old school, which can be a negative for some people, but to me it was like very nostalgic. I was like, oh, look at this, it just looks like PS1 graphics. It's just the best, of course. But again, as I said, like gameplay wise, this game is very interesting. It's a good strategy RPG. And I played for 25 hours or something like that, even a bit more, and I was really enjoying where the story was going. It was interesting. It has all this plot about like this. I think it was a sort of dying world or something. Angels are coming and they're going to wipe out humanity, so we have to stop them. What are the angels? You start to discover certain truth about them. while at the same time there's a war going on and a lot of political intrigues and stuff like that. Good stuff, and as I said, it was getting really interesting. But the big problem with this game, at least to me, the difficulty spikes. My God, they're brutal, especially during boss battles. You can play this for quite some time, enjoying yourself, even though you have to be careful, but you can manage. But here and there, especially with certain boss battles, the difficulty goes up to the roof, and it's really difficult. I managed to a couple of bosses that were really tough, but I was about to face for the first time an angel, which was like this big plot twist, and that battle is friggin' impossible. I mean, it's just impossible. You start out the upper right of the map. You have to go through the down left of the map where the angel is, basically walking through a battlefield filled with very strong monsters, which they start attacking you and killing you after 2 seconds, and it's incredibly frustrating. So I couldn't finish it, of course, and a friend of mine on Facebook said, "Oh yeah, that's a tough spot, be ready for the next one, it's even harder." I was like, my God, how can it be harder than that? So of course I was forced to shelve this, and as I said, it pissed me off because I was really enjoying my time with it. I hope to go back to it eventually, because I think there is a good game here. It's an interesting game, but the difficulty spike is a bit too much for me. We'll see what happens. Unfortunately, and no, there's also another one. I was about to say this is the only Growlancer I can play here in Europe, but there's another one. I think it's Growlancer 5, because Wafer of Time it's 4. It's the port of Growlancer 4. Let's move on. Number 12. We're still on PSP territory, and this is a game that I actually loved and beat, of course. And that is Star Ocean Second Evolution. And I was a bit surprised to find this game so down on my list, just at number 12, but it just happened that I play games that I enjoyed more, even though this was really good and I really enjoyed my time with it. Highly recommend the Star Ocean series, especially the first 2. I still need to play 3, 4, and 5, basically. Till the End of Time, Last Hope, and the PS4 one, even though everyone pretty much says that's shit, but who knows. The first 2, however, are where the series adds for most fans. It's both First Departure and this are really good. For certain elements, I prefer this over the first one, and vice versa. They're both excellent, and these PSP ports are just amazing. This is the way to play these RPGs, like on the go, on the PSP, Vita, 3DS, whatever you want. Some people get annoyed by certain mechanics in the Star Ocean series. I would say specifically the private actions. But it's really up to you, because of course if you avoid them, you miss a lot of character development. But you can trigger them. You just have to be careful and maybe repeat them or something. I mean, as I said, it's really up to you. I have a really great experience playing this. I really enjoy the battle system. It's kind of reminiscent from the Tales series, of course. It's Tri-Ace. The developer of these games were formed from former Namco employees. But it is a great science fantasy story with great characters. The voice acting was so-so, especially in battles, but for the most part, this is a really good game. Highly recommended. I really enjoyed it. But as I said, it just happened that I play games that really enjoyed, and unfortunately Star Ocean couldn't keep up with the pace, but it's a big recommendation. The first 2 Star Ocean games, they're so good. At number 11 is a game that I cannot show since it's on the PS4, which it's not with me here in London. And unfortunately, and not really unfortunately, and I haven't finished this, but for another different reason, and that is Mass Effect Andromeda. I did a video coming strong in defense of this game because at that time it was really being sucker punched by critics. Really bitching about everything that the game was, with a lot of issues the game had, and when I played it, I didn't actually experience them. So maybe I was lucky and the game was already being patched by the time I bought it, which I have to notice. I mean, Andromeda was the reason that brought me to buy the PS4. Basically, I was that hyped for this game, but probably what BioWare EA did was a bit too little too late by that point. We all know about the whole graphical issues, the bugs, and a lot of people saying the story is not that special. And I played that game for I think about 40 hours or something. And I enjoyed the story, even though I have to be honest, it's not as engaging as the previous 3 games, of course, but those are 3 games forming one big story. Naturally, it's different. However, I think Andromeda shines in the gameplay department. That's probably one of the best in the series. I mean, it's probably 3 and Andromeda are the best gameplay-wise. Story-wise, yes, the story was not as I said, fleshed out as maybe Mass Effect 2 and 3, but it's still interesting, and I like the idea of exploring this galaxy, although at the same time, to being perfectly honest, I have to say the Andromeda Galaxy, it's kind of empty when compared with like the Milky Way in the previous 3 games. They're mainly 2 races, and then there's like people coming from the Milky Way, so it's a bit weird. But the thing is, I haven't finished it because I'm not in a rush to finish it. This is an open world game. I'm exploring these different planets, building settlements, doing missions, quests, exploring. Of course, you have to remember, open world games are not really my cup of tea, but I am enjoying this one mainly because it's Mass Effect, and I'm just taking my time doing like missions and side quests and exploring, mixing the things, so trying to avoid being burned out. But at the same time, I was taking a break from the game and playing another game that completely took my attention, and playing main consoles is extremely rare for me at the moment, so that's why for the moment it's a bit on the side. But eventually I really, really want to finish Andromeda because I really enjoy my time with it, and I still believe in what I said. It's a good game. Maybe it's not as good as the previous 3, but I think it was a good start. But of course, the game received such a negative reception from fans and critics, even though maybe they patched it, but as I said, too little too late. Probably the damage has been done, and as we know, we're probably not going to see another Mass Effect game in a long time, which is a damn shame, because this is one of the best series of, I will say, of the 2000s or something like that. I really enjoyed it. So at number 11, Mass Effect Andromeda on the PS4. Number 10, we got another game. I thought it was a bit higher, but it was only number 10. What can we do? But and that is Tales of the Abyss on the 3DS. This was my first real experience with a Tales of game, meaning the first one which I actually play and beat, play from beginning to end, and I really enjoyed it. This is, I think, a fan favorite, maybe not the best, but a lot of people actually really love this game, and I can see why. It has a good story, although at times a bit, how can I say, clogged with a lot of like maybe subplots or this. I still remember all that crazy terminology and technobabble about all these characteristics and like the Qliphoth, the Sephiroth, the Resonance, and all of those kind of weird stuff. But again, it's a good story, and where the game shines, it's the characters. I think there are really good characters here with good development, a fun battle system, all like dressed with good music, which make all of this kind of RPG experience on the 3DS really, really nice. Which again, I think nowadays games like these, Star Oceans or whatever, it really shows that handheld is the way to go for big RPGs, because it's easier to play, of course. But I cannot wait to play more Tales games. I mean, being my introduction, I played a bit of Berseria on the PS4, which is a lot of fun. Cannot wait to play that. I hope to finish that in 2018. But I made of course an entire video on this, going into detail, but a really good RPG on the 3DS. Really happy playing this. At number 10, Tales of the Abyss. Number 9, we're still on the 3DS, and we got an interesting one, considering also another game I play right now. It's from the same developers, and that is Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. I think this, I don't remember if this is the third or second entry in the Lords of Shadow series, sub-series. Meaning I don't remember if this came before or after Lords of Shadow 2. And I really enjoy this. I really like what they try to do. This is a sort of Metroidvania, return to the Metroidvania formula within the Lords of Shadow lore, and especially with that combat system. And it's a good match. Of course, I was hoping for a, I don't want to say a proper experience, but of course, being it seems that they didn't know what a Metroidvania Castlevania should be. Of course, there are the elements, but it seems just like not entirely. I mean, naturally, in these kind of games, the exploration, it's the most important elements. Of course, you have to explore, backtracking all the time, go back and forth, all of that. In this, not so much. I mean, it's there, but it's just kind of a hint of what could have been. Combat, very fun, but the biggest, I like, the story was alright, of course. I would have done it a little different, especially like the order of the stories, but that's just details and personal things. But the big disappointment for me with this game was the music, because being a Castlevania game, you cannot have such a bland soundtrack, considering like the fantastic music Castlevania offered us throughout the years. But overall, this was a really pleasant experience by Mercury Steam, and of course I still need to play the other two Lords of Shadow, which I'm going to do eventually. But so far, number 9 in my 2017 list. Number 8, we're returning to the PSP, and for one last time, no, not this is not the last time, surprisingly, but at number 8, Crimson Gem Saga, a fantastic old school experience. Unfortunately, it could have been higher than 8, even though I kind of wanted to, but it didn't have. It doesn't have enough to be higher than this. Even though I really enjoy my time with this, it's really good. As you see, I'm speechless talking about this game because I really enjoy this game. It's a fantastic throwback to like PS1 days kind of RPGs, really old school combat, gorgeous graphics on the PS1, a really fun and addictive combat system, and I really like the story, these characters. Maybe they could have been developed a bit more, of course, but I was still attached to them at the end of the game, maybe not as much as other cases with like better developed characters, but they still did a good job, also because curiously enough, I was expecting a much longer game, and like 60 hours or something, and this proved to be like 30 or something. But it's still a very good game, a tough old school game, of course. I mean, and it has a really nice, and I love the ending. I mean, it has a really great twist. Really enjoy my time. Highly recommended. If you like old school RPGs, definitely give Crimson Gem Saga a shot. This definitely deserves a sequel that we'll never see, because the ending is very open. So we need a sequel, but I know it's never going to happen. But a great game. Number 7, and this is interesting because this might be, I don't want to say the biggest disappointment of the year, because it's not a disappointment, because I like this game. It's number 7, but I was expecting so much more. You might guess what I'm talking about. Ys 8, Lacrimosa of Dana. As I said in my game discussion video, I liked this, but I didn't love it. And considering that it's an Ys game, and Ys is one of my favorite series, I was pretty, again, I don't know if disappointed is the right word, it's what I'm looking for, but also I don't know what I was expecting. One thing that I didn't mention in my video is the fact that playing this, it kind of reminded me too much of Celceta, which on the other hand I loved so much, but it was too similar. I mean, the mechanics were basically the same. I mean, explore a big forest in Celceta, exploring the island in Ys 8. But my biggest issue with this game, it's the fact that the story, it's not interesting up until the 30 hours mark, and this is a 40 hours game at least. That's not very good. I mean, for the most part, those previous 30 hours were just fetch quests, exploring, which is good. I love the sense of exploration and adventure in Ys, because this game also has a fantastic soundtrack. But at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of the combat system. I liked it, but I don't love it. Again, I mean, these hack and slash mechanics they're just bottom mashing. I mean, I prefer the combat system from Oath in Felghana and Origin, and I especially love the old school run and bump, but that's very personal, of course. Also, I mean, the characters were kind of interesting, but not too much, other than Dana. She's the really interesting one. Everything connected with her, it's the interesting part of the game. So overall, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was expecting the next big thing because I love Falcom so much. I love Ys so much. Interesting, I didn't notice this game as a mark for discrimination. What? Whatever. I was really surprised by this, but I don't know. I mean, it was too much of a slow burner. That almost I wasn't going to drop this because I knew that, like, sometimes there were interesting parts, and I knew that it was going to get better by the end, the way some friends talked about this. But I was expecting so much more, if I have to be honest. I mean, as I said, this might be my least favorite Ys game so far, even though it's good. I'm not saying it's bad, and it's halfway through my list. But again, I was expecting more from this. Maybe Falcom's attention is mainly focused on Legend of Heroes, since like Trails of Cold Steel 3 and 4, like Trails of Cold Steel 3 is out in Japan. They're working on Trails of Cold Steel 4, and maybe Ys now it's not Falcom's main series anymore, so maybe they have a secondary team or something. But again, this was too much similar to Celceta in the mechanics, and the story was not that interesting. So I don't know, especially compared with another game we're going to talk in a while. This really, again, it didn't disappoint, but it didn't impress me at the same time. So number 7 is 8. Kind of the disappointment of the year. I liked it. It's not a disappointment, but I was expecting much, much more. Number 6, we have one of the 2 surprises of the year. I didn't expect to love this so much, and in a way I kind of wanted this a bit higher on the list, but again, it wasn't possible. And that is Danganronpa, another episode, Ultra Despair Girls. Man, I love this game, and I didn't expect to love this so much. It's a sort of side story. It's a in-between story between the first and second Danganronpa games, and it's a third-person shooter of all things, but it's just perfectly like in the Danganronpa world. It fits the main story so well. You like Danganronpa games, like the dialogues and the characters are fantastic. The main story, it's crazy, over the top, creepy, disturbing, but in a perfect way. I mean, there's a reason why I love this series so much. I cannot wait to play Danganronpa 3 this year. I just need to buy it, and it's going to happen soon. But what a fantastic story. I didn't expect such a good one, and I really want a sequel to this. I want another episode 2. I really hope Spike Chunsoft's going to do it. I heard there is a teaser in Danganronpa 3 about a potential sequel to this. Who knows? I really hope. I really want a second one like this. Maybe just makes the controller a bit fluider and a bit better, because just as I said, this story was fantastic. I love the characters, the interaction between them. The final part was just a complete mindfuck of a creepy story. The idea of killing thousands of children, a bit of a spoiler. Just the delicious craziness and over the top that Danganronpa used us, and it's so good. With a bang at number 6, one of the 2 surprises of the year, the other one is coming soon, Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. So good. Number 5, another game I cannot show you. This was probably the biggest surprise of the year. I didn't expect to love this game so much, and for the most part it was actually a bit higher on the list. But I really liked it, and this was Binary Domain on the PS3. I'm laughing just thinking about it because it's such a good game. Basically, I played this game as a sort of tribute to one of my favorite YouTuber, which is Alex Return to Mother Base, which I know is a big fan of this game. And I can see why now. I mean, I really enjoy. I didn't expect to like this so much, and like, it's a third-person cover-based shooter. It's so over the top. It's so much fun. I mean, of course, the main story, it's very interesting. It reminds me of, obviously, of Blade Runner with the whole thing with the androids, and I mean, it has a much interesting story than Blade Runner 2, which they're basically the same. The idea of like robots having children and stuff like that. But I just love the dialogues with this crazy testosterone-filled characters. It's so much fun. I mean, the controllers weren't perfect. Was a bit stiff at times, but and I think boss battles were a bit frustrating and really long at times. But other than this, I enjoyed it so much. I mean, for the most part, I was laughing my ass off at the dialogue and everything. And as I said, it's so over the top. But I really enjoyed it. I didn't make a video, unfortunately, just because I didn't have the opportunity. And it's fine. Absolutely a fantastic experience on the PS3. If you haven't played it, I cannot recommend Binary Domain more. I would love to see more games like this, more Binary Domains. I know it's never going to happen. But if only there's going to be a Binary Domain 2. Oh my god, I'm going to buy it in a heartbeat. With a bang at number 5, Binary Domain. Fantastic game. Number 4. It's an interesting one because I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. Especially considering it's a game I already played years ago. But incompletely. So I replayed it simply because I had the opportunity, and boy, I loved it. Ys Origin. Now we're talking. Now there's an Ys game. As I said, I played this game when it was originally released here in the West on Steam, and I really liked it, but I only play Unica story, so I played 1/3 of the game. After that, I started playing something else, and I haven't finished. Like, I started Hugo campaign, but then as I say, I played something else and I got distracted. Then again, thanks to Alex Return to Mother Base, he showed this gorgeous version for the Vita, bought on PlayAsia. So in English, everything's perfect, so I thought I have to have this because 1, it's an Ys game on the Vita, and 2, I really want to replay this. And I started immediately playing as Hugo, then I replayed as Unica, then I finished the game as Toll, and I couldn't put it down. Contrary to Ys 8. With Ys 8, I was really dragging my feet after a while because, as I said, the story wasn't interesting, it wasn't engaging up until the 30 hours. This is a 20 hours top game. I couldn't put it down. I mean, and by the end of the game, the final battle with Toll, I was thinking, this is epic. This is a really good game. I mean, I love the battle system. The music, it's really good. One thing that I really stressed on my Ys 8 video, it's how easy the game was. I played on normal, sure. I didn't play on pure evil. I played this on normal as well, and it kicked my ass a lot, especially in boss battles, because Ys games are supposed to be tough, even on lower difficulties. Ys 8 was stupidly easy. I never died on a boss battle in Ys 8, and that kind of shocked me. I mean, with this, I still remember, like, the huge centipede. That thing killed me so many times. But as I said, like, the music was great. I love the setting of the Dharm Tower. Of course, I would have liked to explore the ruined land of Ys a bit more, but whatever. And as I said, the story was so great. The characters, everything. I would love an Ys Origin too, just to explore these characters more, but that doesn't matter. I mean, as I said, this is an Ys game. I also liked Ys 8. I don't want to bash it too much, but I played this immediately before. As I said, I couldn't put it down. Every moment I played this. With Ys 8, I was really struggling. So, phenomenal game. If you haven't played Ys Origin, be sure to do it. I know it's on the PS4, it's on the Vita, you can import it from PlayAsia, it's on Steam. Just play it, it's so good. Top 3, and with this, it was hard, especially for the next two, for the next games, because I had my game of the year basically decided in June. It's been there from a long time because it's just perfect to me. But with the next games, I was really struggling because I couldn't make up my mind, since these are spectacular games. I mean, especially, it pains me to have this game at number 3. I wanted to be higher, but I decided to push another one instead. But this is Game of the Year material, easier. We all know about it. I was just a bit late to the party, but Fire Emblem Awakening, what a phenomenal game. I mean, this is the game, the first game I play on the 3DS, so there's a bit of nostalgia there in a way. Nostalgia. But there's this charm there. But what a game. I mean, this is strategy RPG perfection. A fantastic story. Unforgettable characters. How can you forget now about Chrom, Lisa, Lucina, Robin, all these characters? The whole, like, children from the future, like, in order to avoid the apocalypse. This is why Fire Emblem is such a fantastic series. Such a good soundtrack. I don't know if I stressed this because I played this a long time ago, but this is the total package. I mean, this can easily be number 1 on my list. I just decided to push another game, another series rather than this, but this can easily be number 1.5 because I enjoy this so much. I really want to play it again whenever I have the time because I loved every second of it. This is such a good game, and I cannot wait to play more Fire Emblem. I mean, I always loved that series since I played it for the first time on the DS, but boy, Awakening is good. I mean, we all love it, of course. It's what made Fire Emblem really... It pushed Fire Emblem to the stratosphere for all the good reasons. It's, as I said, strategy RPG perfection. And it's, unfortunately, it really pains me to put it just at number 3. But again, it's about favorite, and I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed my number 2. And you can even say they're at the same level in a way of enjoyment, because with this I'm actually cheating a bit. But of course it's my list, so I can do whatever I want. I'm putting 2 games on the same spot, and number 2 we got Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc, and Goodbye Despair. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed this series and both these games, and consequently another episode. But these are basically the same thing. It would be kind of silly trying to talk about them separately because they're, as I said, the same thing. Maybe in the grand scheme of things, Trigger Happy Havoc might be my favorite, although I love certain elements in Goodbye Despair. fantastic game. The thing is also why I decided to put a number 2 is the fact that before this I was kind of lukewarm towards visual novels, but at the same time I was thinking I love RPGs because they're like story-driven games, so why not trying visual novels? They're just that, stories. At the same time, the fact that visual novels sometimes have no gameplay was kind of the elements stopping me from really getting into the genre. However, I heard about Danganronpa having gameplay elements, mainly in the trials, but also investigating after a murder. And of course, as I said for another episode, I love the over-the-topness of this universe. It's just like playing a manga. I love the characters. I love this whole thing about despair and hope. I mean, I just love this series so much, and everything started from Trigger Happy Havoc, and I cannot wait to play the third one. I really wanted to play sooner than later. So at number 2, Danganronpa, both of them. Number 1, we're finally at the end. Number 1, as I said, I had this game. It was impossible to move it. I mean, once I played it, maybe I'm cheating a bit. It's a bit too obvious, you might think. It's a bit too easy. But what can I do? I love this series so much. It's so close and dear to my heart. And this is just the perfect way to, I think, to complete a trilogy. And it's from one of my favorite series of all time. So, and of course, it's just that good. Naturally, I'm talking about Trails in the Sky, the third, Legend of Heroes. And this is just my physical version. I played this on Steam, but of course I have to have the physical version on the PSP. As I said, this is the way to complete a trilogy, I think. It's the perfect conclusion of the Trails in the Sky trilogy, which... Is it the best of the Legend of Heroes? I don't know. I still need to play the Crossbow games. And a lot of fans actually say that those are the best. I still need to play them. I'm still hoping those idiots at Falcom decided to actually release them to the West, because there's a legion of fans waiting for them. But at first, I don't want to say I was skeptical about this, because I knew there were some differences, and also because after playing Second Chapter, I was thinking, like, what can they do now? Because Second Chapter actually brought closure to the main story started in the first game, basically the story of Joshua and Estelle. Of course, there were still some questions. There's still questions after playing Trails of Cold Steel about like certain characters and Ouroboros and all of that. And this game is focused mainly on the main protagonist of the game is actually Kevin, and he is a prominent character in both the previous games. And in here, you're going to discover everything you need to know about him. And it's just a fantastic story. There's also the introduction of Reyes, a new character. And the thing that I love about this, maybe a sort of weak point of the game is the fact it's the setting, but it kind of makes sense if you follow the story. Not to spoil it, because you really need to play if you haven't, but of course you need to play the other two first. But it's a wonderful story of redemption. That's what the third is. And I'm not going to say anything else, but it's a fantastic story. It has a phenomenal soundtrack. It's so good. It's a very dark story also, especially, you might say, the second half of the game, because if you play the first two games, you know that Kevin is actually a very like happy-go-lucky kind of character. That's just a facade. Not going to say anything else. Of course, the fact that this game has one of my favorite battle system in RPG ever, it's a big help. I just love this hybrid turn-based strategy plus a sort of materia system. Oh, I love it so much. And I have a weak spot for this kind of graphics. I kind of prefer this even over the fantastic looking Trails of Cold Steel games. But as I said, also the story, I love these characters so much, and as I said, it's the perfect closure to this trilogy, because you discover more about them, their relationship, and all the Trails in the Sky characters. So from Joshua and Estelle to Sherazard, Oliver, Agathe, Tita. There's also characters like what's his name? I don't remember now. Now I cannot remember all the names, because I played this in June, for crying out loud. But all the main characters from the previous two games, both good and bad. In one case especially, I think it was Colonel, not Russell, but something like that. Colonel Lloyd something, whatever. He's there. He's a very interesting character. And it's great to see all these characters coming together one last time, and the ending of this game, it's almost moving in a way. The way they say goodbye to each other, moving on to the next chapter of their lives. It felt so good. All the pieces coming together from them. Perfection. I mean, the big question is there the perfect game? My answer to that, it's such a subjective matter how you enjoy the game. To me, this was a perfect game because I enjoyed it so much. Is it perfect? I don't know. To me, it was. And with a bang, Trails in the Sky the Third, #1 of 2017. Obviously, I want to say, because it's just that good, and I love this series so much. I love Legend of Heroes. I love the Trails in the Sky trilogy. And this was a great way to complete it. What a story. If you haven't played it, shame on you, because it's a phenomenal RPG. So there you have it. These were my favorite games of 2017, and a bit of everything. Of course, RPGs are dominant because it's my favorite genre, but I hope to play as many games in 2018, maybe a bit more. I don't know if I'll have the time. We'll see. I'm already playing what I think might be a game of the year already. My first game of 2018. We'll see what happened. So that's it for me. Again, Happy New Year. Hope you enjoyed this list. Let me know what you think. Definitely make your own list. Spread the love for gaming, all of that, and keep gaming for the 2018. That's it. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I'm tired. So thanks for watching. Like always, guys, I'll see you next time, and take care.